Yeah. So yesterday, we were going to look at functions, but we didn't actually get the time to do that since we kind of went on a tangent. But I guess it is what it is. So today we'll implement our function. Our first function. Let me just create a file. I don't know what to call it. Okay, I'm just gonna call it soft. Cool. So I'll just copy the code that we had in here. Paste that in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I need to copy those as well. Close that. Cool. So yeah, we have I'm just gonna go back to the intro. So I copied that code to the other side. I'm gonna go back to the intro for functions, and we're just going to go through the syntax for actually making your own function, right? So how you do that, there's a keyword def, which means define, which helps you define your function, right? So you give it so you use the keyword def, and then you give the name of your function. Let's just call this one hello, right? And then cool. So we have just a moment. Is Jack here? Did Jack join?
Yeah.
Why are you late? Just
Computer is taking time to start.
okay. So I just I was just introducing how we make our functions. And so one thing that we do when you create your own function, you use the keyword def, right? Which means define, right? Or it represents the definition of the function. So, and then that's the name of your function. And then you have these the parentheses, and then your colon, and then inside the body of your function, like we saw with if statements and while loops, and what else? While loops and for loops, right? When you use the semicolon, not the semicolon, the colon, that's when you know you need to indent your code to represent the body of well, in this case is the body of the function. In the case of your if is the body of your if statement. In the case of the for is the body of your for loop. So you kind of see now actually what the colon means, right? So when so now so that, yeah, that's essentially our function. So if I wanted to
let me join with the computer. It's on now. No?
Okay. Hey. Whew. Are you good? Are you back in? Is he back? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm sorted now.
Yeah. So if I wanted to use this function, how would I use it?
It doesn't the function mean every time you put hello, then it will print hello?
Okay, let's see. So
Let's see.
Python 3
Wait,
and yeah.
wait, I think you have to there at the bottom. You have to just put that hello function. Yes.
Wait, here. You want me to
Yes.
see what must I do?
Just say hello
Hello.
and brackets.
So you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. There. So it did work, right?
Yes.
So so let me remove it, right? And then run it again, right? So we can see that nothing happened, right? But so yeah, so here we're just defining what our function should do, right? So, but you're actually not using it. So when you use your function, like I've been saying, when we were using others like your print, your sorted, and other methods which belonged on your strings and other objects, right? So when you want to use your function, you actually say, so yeah, you have the name of your function and your parentheses, right? So we'll get to understand uh, what the different forms or the different definitions mean and how to use them in a moment. But when I do this, right, when I just name, that actually does nothing because I'm just specifying the function. I'm not actually not using it. I'm not calling the function. So you call the function, right? For you, in order to execute the contents of your function, you have to what? You have to call the function. So and we call a function by using our parentheses, right?
So it doesn't do an error if you don't use the parenthesis. It just
No,
doesn't
it
do it.
it it doesn't do anything. It's just like, oh, okay, this is the definition. I have this function. I know, right? You you have to call it in order to. You're not forced to call it, right? Like we're not forced to use a print, or we're not forced to use other functions. So you're not forced to. It's just that if you want to call it, you have to use the parentheses.
Okay.
Are you good?
Yeah.
So what happens if so actually let's look. Let me ask you a question. Okay. What do you think these parentheses represent? What are they in your head? What do you understand by these parentheses besides just calling the function?
Well, I understand that if you want the function to act on a certain object or variable, you would
Yeah,
put that
that
into
variable.
the parenthesis.
Okay, so if I have name equals to Jack, and I want my function to act on this name, then I'd put this here. Is that what you're saying?
It's a bit tricky with that one
Why?
because it's a print function.
What's a print function? Hello is not a print function. Hello uses the print function inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I must run it. Okay. Boom. There. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it says type error. Hello takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying what this is saying I cannot give it a variable there. That's what it's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why?
Because it's print. The print already has that hello inside.
That's not the reason.
What is?
I think we haven't uh, given it
Oh.
like an explanation on how to act based on certain objects.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of a half answer, but kind of, yeah, kind of. So it's because when we defined our function, right, we did not give it the ability to accept something from the outside, right? So, and for us to do that, so I'm going to create a different function. I'm going to call it hello person, right? Uh, Basically gonna, it's going to be almost the same thing. So, but so between our parentheses, you can say name, right? So what this is saying is say, okay, you can accept one uh, one parameter from the outside, right? So that's what it's saying. So like now we are giving it the ability to accept something from the outside, right? So this thing that you see here, name, is a parameter that we give to the function so that it can you can now you can now use it you can now use it, right? Let's for if now I do that, what do you think will happen now? Let me just save that. What do you think will happen?
It'll be an error.
Why?
The function needs to accept one argument, but zero argument is provided.
Yeah. So yeah. So hello person missing one required positional argument name, right? So I have to give it something there. So I can say Jack there, and I'm giving it a value to use, right? So now when I do that, it says hello, hello, right? So that's why because Nachi, I was saying your answer was half and half, because in this case we are accepting something from the outside, right? But we are actually not using it inside our function. So we still have to pass it, but even though we are not using it inside our function, it'll still work, right? So the body of our function, we have to use what we get, and but we can use what we get. We don't have to use everything, right? But it actually doesn't make sense to pass to define a parameter on your function if you're not going to use it, right? So now I can actually just take this name here and say and do that, right? And say now we're using the name inside our function. So when I run that, the first one says hello because we're just printing hello. The second one prints hello Jack, right? Because we said okay, you print hello and then you use the name that you got from the outside and then you print that name there, right? So I can actually run this function again on something different, right? So
Peter.
right. So you see now, so we say hello Jack and then we say hello underscore 99, right? So we're using the same function, but we're just passing it something different that it can use, right? A different value. You see that?
Yeah.
So now going back to what we had last time, right? The function we had from not the function, the code we had from yesterday, right? So we want to put this into a function. I'm gonna need your guidance to do that. So what do I do?
I don't understand the question. Please repeat it.
So remember yesterday I asked you what the purpose of a function was, right? And
Yeah.
then so we ended up saying we we need functions because they help us provide code for some common thing that we want to achieve, right? So we want to achieve sorting, or we want to achieve reading a file, or we want to do some form of task that can be reused for different inputs, right? So now we actually want to put, so we coded up our algorithm for sorting, right? But now I'm saying, how do we put that? We want to put this into a function. How do we do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
First, we gotta define it.
Okay. How do I, what? How do I do it?
Def.
Yeah.
I want to
Sorting.
say sorting.
Can you call it sort? It's fine.
Okay, so I was scared that sort is already part of
So
the.
sort is a method on your arrays, right? On your lists. So you can only use it on your, at least I don't think sort should be, let me see. Yeah, there's sorted, which is similar to sort, but sort acts on your, sort is a method and sorted is a function. So that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you find sort on your list. So like list, not that, sorry, numbers dot sort. You find it there, right? So it's actually, come on now. Uh, yeah, so you find sort on your list. So sort is a method on your list, but sorted behaves the same way, but it's actually a function that can be used on a list, right?
Yeah.
So we can use sort, yeah. So this is sort, and then
Parentheses,
yeah,
colon.
okay.
My goodness, I'm stuck here.
Go up level.
Yeah.
Okay. So the things that we're going to change.
Masai, let me decrease the screen a bit. There, yeah.
Things that are going to change is going to be numbers, x, and it's going to actually be numbers and size, right?
What do you mean?
Things that, let's say, agree we're given numbers, that's the one we are sorting.
Yeah.
So when we go to the next function, we will we'll have numbers changing, but whatever that we're having inside the function will still be the same, like the for I in range.
Yeah.
So which means that whole thing of for I in range can be placed underneath the
function.
yes.
So you want me to copy that, cut that out, and then put it in there.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
so then size
Yeah.
let me see. What was J? What did we choose J to be? Oh, it still
No.
goes with size. J still goes with size. So size will be the one that goes into that sort.
Okay. So you want me to move that there? Okay.
No. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, that's fine. Then inside the parenthesis of sort, we put numbers.
Okay. You want that there, and then you want me to remove. Let me. So that's what you want. That's what you have.
So numbers. Let me see. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see.
And then we gotta define numbers, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. So when you put the only thing that will be changing will be the numbers. Yeah.
So what are you saying? 99.
Ah, my brain just jammed. I think we gotta define numbers, but I don't know if we have to do it inside. We don't.
But do you see the definition of the function there?
Yeah.
So when we pass in this when you have a parameter called numbers there, right?
Yeah.
That's the variable that's used within the function. So you don't have to define it because you're
Yeah.
expecting to get that whatever data you get at that position
Comes from outside.
comes from outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just put that on your function. So now, sorry. So
It's
now
fine.
actually I can just go sort. Actually, no, let me uh cool, let me do that. So I can just go sort. No, sort, right? You see that?
Bless you.
So you see what's happening there.
Your boat.
So it's basically actually let me do this. Nope. So that we can see what we have, let's print out the numbers at the end. And numbers. Cool. I'm gonna remove this one there.
Yeah, please.
Boom. So now we see that it sorted it, right?
Yeah.
So you can do it for a different list. What?
You're putting in a sorted list.
Yeah.
uh,
You see. So now we can just run our functions on our yeah, we can just run our function on different inputs, right? So
Okay.
we don't have to repeat the same logic that we had above uh, for different variables. You get that?
oh,
Sorry?
yeah, boat.
Yeah. So now let's say I wanted, so I'm sorting my list, right? But let's say I'm sorting my list for a particular purpose, right? I want to sort my list so that I can maybe it's marks in a class, right? You have marks in a class, and then you want to sort them so that you know who got the highest marks, who got the highest mark, and who got the lowest mark, right? So you want to sort the performance in ascending order, right? So you actually
Okay.
want to sort that and use it for something, right?
Okay.
So now looking at I'm not gonna ask this question because I don't think we've never looked at it before. So
Yeah, we're
but
not ready.
so in order to use let's do this. Let me do this. If I was to print this out, right? What do you think it will be? What would that be? I want to ask that one.
It will wait. It will come out as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way It was when we did it before.
And you, Nkosnat?
I'm inclined to agree.
Okay. It says none.
Hmm?
It says none.
Discuss.
So it says none because this function, we have this function that's doing things inside, right? But it's actually not returning anything to the outside. So meaning the outside, you do not have access to what's happening inside the function, right? So you're basically just doing magic inside the function and then you're not exposing it to the outside. There's a way to expose it, right? So when you use the return, so if I return numbers now, I'm actually saying, okay, after you sorted your numbers, because you know that it runs sequentially, right? So it will run that, then it will run the for loop, and then when the for loop is done, then it'll go to that last one there. So and then this, when you use the return keyword, you say, okay, return this to the outside, right? You're saying return, you've sorted it. Now in this case, we want to return our sorted list, right? To the outside world.
Okay.
Yeah. So so now when we do that, now we should actually come on now. Oh. Now we get it as a sorted list because we said, okay, return that list. You see? So if you don't use the return keyword, it won't do anything. So now if I can just return 55, there it will return 55 because I'm telling it to return 55. But in this case, 55 actually has nothing to do with with any of the calculations we're working with, right? But but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you return, well, you do some form of manipulation inside your function, and then uh you return that to the outside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to show you something quickly. I'm going to say right, we have that. I'm going to remove sorted. That makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
Cool. And then I'm going to print. What do you expect the results to be?
The first one will be starting from 9 to 1, and then the second one should start from 1 to 9.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, wait. What happened?
Do you know what happened?
Wait, yes, I think I see it.
Yeah, what happened?
The because you put the marks below the function.
What?
I know, I don't know. Oh, no.
Hey,
No,
why'd you
I
change
don't
your
know.
mind like that?
No,
What?
I thought
Computer on a virus.
what
I don't
happened.
know though. I can't tell.
so it's because like inside our function here, right? We are actually manipulating numbers. The thing that we pass in, we are manipulating it inside our function, right?
Yes.
So meaning when this is used, it is used as marks, right? And inside our function, we are actually manipulating marks, and then we are returning it back, right? So so we are actually returning the thing that we are changing. So that's why these two are the same. So for us, so if we don't want to manipulate the input, we shouldn't be doing things like this inside our function.
I still don't understand.
Me too.
Because
Mm,
I understand why sorted marks get sorted.
yes.
I don't know how marks is affected by
So marks is affected because so when we pass this thing here, right? This is just a variable, right?
Yes.
And this variable represents something in memory. So in the memory on our computer, right? So when we change these things here, when we change it, we're actually changing the when we change it here, sorry. When we change it, we're actually manipulating that position in memory. So and that position in memory belongs to this guy, because that's what we're passing in. You get that? So actually manipulating the list that's at that position in memory, and that's what we are affecting it. That's what's being manipulated, right? As much as we are returning something here, this is actually the very same thing that we manipulated, meaning is the same thing that we gave it, the same thing that was an argument into our function. I don't know if that makes sense.
let me try to ask.
Okay.
Is what's happening at 16 affecting the original list? That's
Yes.
15.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what's happening. So it's affecting the original list, and that's why you have marks changing, even though we are not expecting it to, but it is changing, right?
What if you place marks the line 15 before everything else, like in line 1 only?
Sorry?
I think it
What
still changed because it's mutable.
what if you I was saying what if you place marks line 15 into line 1?
Line 15.
Yes.
Line 15 into line 1. What do you
Yes.
mean? I don't understand what you mean.
You put it that
So
that
you put
that
it
that
before.
definition goes to line 2. You just put
Oh, that it won't change anything.
Hey Jack, I think it's because a list is mutable.
Yeah, that's
and
that's
and
one other
and
reason.
and, and, and we have mutated the list. So the
Yes.
fact that it comes before or not, we are affecting the list in its original form and changing it to something completely different. We're not printing out a result of something. We're changing the actual list.
Yeah. So there is a way to do it so that we don't affect the original list, right? So I'm just going to call it
Oh, I think I hear what you're saying, Kosinatio. But let will continue with what you're saying.
so I'm saying I'm going to change this guy here, right? Just have original there. And then I can say numbers equals to, so there's a couple of ways to do this. You can say no, come on now, list, and then give it original, right? So this will actually create a new list. So we won't be manipulating the original one. So when we do this, we are creating a new list in memory, but we are taking the values that we got from the original one. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
So now when we run that, it doesn't change it because we are not manipulating the original one that we passed through. So we created a new one, numbers inside, and then we're actually making changes to the numbers that we had. And then the original one stays the same. We just grab the data that's from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it depends on, so good practice says your function should not change should not change you shouldn't be changing your input with your function, right? That's
Okay.
what good practice say. You can change things with your method, because your method, like I'm sure you saw this when you run sort on a list, it changes the list, right? Permanently. It changes the list permanently. That is fine, because it's something that's acting on your object. You are kind of changing the state of your object with your method, right? But when you have a function, we like our function to be as pure as possible. So we do not want to change the things that come. We do not want to change our arguments. So original, when you pass in marks to sort there, we do not want to change the original values of what we pass in. So that's what, so that those are called pure functions, but you actually want your functions to be as pure as possible, like almost always, like if you can avoid it, right? And yeah, and then just return the changes to the outside and use those and use that particular value to make the changes, right? Let's say you wanted to change marks, right? To be something different. Let's say you did want to sort it, and that's the one that you want to change. So you could actually do this, right? Uh, instead of saying, uh, instead of manipulating marks inside your function, you manipulate marks outside your function. So you just say, okay, take the old value of marks and then sort it and then assign it to marks again, right? So then in that way, you are changing marks, but that's what you intend to do, right? Because when you have that inside your function, it might not be your intentions all the time, right? Sometimes you might want to change it, sometimes you wouldn't want to. So it's best not to change the state of your inputs. We good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just maybe want to look at something else. Boom, 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 boom. I just wanna.
May the Zoom gods be with you.
You want me to zoom this? Can you not see it?
Not well enough.
Okay, open it up.
Maybe it's this.
And now?
Yeah. Much better.
Cool. So let's look at this function, right? That's the first problem. We wanted to sum all numbers between 1 and 100, right? So let's say we wanted to sum numbers between x and y, right? So we want to sum I'll call this what's this? I'll just call it actually I'll not create a new file. I'll just so we already have our function there. It's actually no, it's let me create a new one. It's fine. New file. Is that up? So yeah, so we want to uh, create a function that sums up numbers between two numbers, right? So you what? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna say that. How am I going to do it? Anyone?
Wait, can you allow function to have two arguments, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then parenthesis x, y,
X,
comma, y.
Y. Okay, cool. And then
Yes. For values for
okay,
for
for
I
I
in range,
in range
where is it? X,
X,
100, XY.
X, Y. Yeah.
Wait, how did we do this function? Yes, for I in range. Total is 0, cos 0.
Yeah.
Then total is equals to I plus total. Total plus, yeah. Then just say total plus, yeah, plus total I.
Okay.
Wait, what is something is not right? Um, something is not right. What am I forgetting?
99. Help out.
Wait, let me just revisit them notes.
Chains.
On my now I change. Oh, eh. That's a question 4.
It's question. Yeah, it's question 1, but we want, instead of 1 and 100, we want to have 2 numbers, any 2 numbers.
Yeah, just remove that first total, the line 3.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh no.
It has to be
Yes.
outside, man.
Oh, outside
Yeah.
the for loop, right?
Yeah, because if you have it inside the for loop, every time you iterate through, it'll wipe out the value that it had and make the new value 0, right?
Okay.
So every time it'll just change between 0 and 1. It'll say, oh, make it 0, 0 and that and I. So you're going to say, oh, make it 0. Okay, add I to it, and then when you come back, you make it 0, and then you add I to it, and then so on and so forth.
So at the end, it will just give us the last number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So
I have something I'm suspicious about.
What's up?
That Y.
What about
That
it?
Y is not inclusive, right? In the
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
yeah, so we should do y plus 1.
If we want to make it inclusive.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on the definition of the problem. That's fine. Whether you use y or y plus 1, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was not clear in the question, so it's fine.
Yeah,
It's okay.
between.
Sorry?
Then
It says between, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
then
what
go backwards and press return total.
return total. Okay. Cool.
Two and 4.
So you want 2 and 4? You want me to print that out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we have 5. What?
Oh, it left out 4.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that not inclusive thing, it bothers me.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to include it, it's fine. You can do that. You can do that, and then just include it.
Uh,
Yeah,
like
nothing.
at first, like I was like, what? That sounds small. And I was like, oh, not inclusive.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
Now, what happens when I do that? Huh?
It suffers.
Yeah, it's because there's no such range for 2, right? Because you can't start from 4 going to 2. Or you can, but in the way that range works, it won't work, right?
Yeah.
Wait, range
Yeah.
only calculates going up.
Not really. No. You have to use it in a certain way to make it
So I can put like just after that one, you can put comma -1. Would it count downwards?
yes.
Wow. Try it. Let's see.
So you want me to do that, and then
1, 2.
Yo, help me.
what's up?
Tell me what's happening here.
So let's print this out. Come on now. Jeez.
Man, I am blue ball.
Come on now. So it only gave us 4. Why did it give us 4?
Right from 4.
Because it only gave us 4, and then oh, it's because it's y plus 3. That's why. It's as y. Y is
Plus
2.
one,
Yeah. So
which
and it doesn't include it, right?
so it ends at 4.
Yeah. So because you start at 4 and then you end at 3 and you minus 1, right? So that's why.
Oh.
So if we did 1 and then we do it that way. So actually it won't work properly now because now actually the plus 1 should actually be on the x and not on the y, right? In this case, when you're moving backwards, the plus 1 should be on the x and not on the y.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a way to make it work properly without doing that. I mean,
Okay.
huh?
It can do reverse. Can it work?
Well, you can. So what we can do is
Sort.
well, you could actually. I mean, that's true. You could do this. You could do this. Ha! You see now. We can use sort actually. So let's do this. I'm actually going to show you something here. So we can say numbers equals to, we can say x comma y, right? And then sort our numbers, right? Sort. sort. Come on now. Actually, I'll show you what you can do. Hey, I'm showing you something here. So, what do you understand from that?
That's the first time I've seen a definition of a comma.
Yeah. So, before we run this, I just want to show you something. Let me not remove that. Let me do numbers equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then I'm going to say if I go A, B equals to numbers print A, now. Yay. Why is that complaining? Too many values. Too many values to unpack.
A, B, but then you give it 4 values.
I thought it would. I thought it second one, but I guess it doesn't. So you have to make it work for all of them. Okay. I thought it would just take the first one and the second one and put them in A and B, but I guess the length of your numbers has to be the same as the numbers that you're unpacking. So this is called unpacking. So instead of saying A equals to numbers 0 and B equals to numbers 1, right? Instead of doing that, you can actually do it in one line and do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that works, but we just saw that it failed because the length. So when you use 2 variables, your list has to have the same length, I guess. So in our case, so that's why. So now, does this make sense now?
Well, it
Well,
does,
actually,
but the question is,
this actually won't work. But anyway, let me use sorted. Sorted. Yeah. Say it again.
no, let's use numbers.
What do you mean?
Let's say, for example, when you put the x and y
Yeah.
was initially 2 and 4.
Yeah.
When you get it sorted, x becomes 2 and then y becomes 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when it's 4 and 2, x will still become 2 and y will still become 4, right?
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, sort of. I'm figuring out.
I'm gonna remove this guy here. Huh?
Let's say, for example, right? The x and y we're talking about, the ones that is in the sorted method.
Mm-hmm.
If it was 4 and 2.
So we
Oh
can
no,
test.
I see it.
So we have 1 and we have 4 and 1 and 1 and 4, right? Let's see, 1 and 4. We expect these things to give us the same answer, right? Because that's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get 10 and 10. Is it supposed to be 10 and 10?
I see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
pyramid.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
15, 21, it's a pyramid.
Yeah. So So yeah, so that's how we would do it. So you can actually pass, your function can take in as many arguments as you want. All right. So tomorrow we'll look at two different types of definitions on your function. Maybe we'll try and reproduce the functionality of a range in a way. We'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll try and do that. We'll see. Actually, how are we going to do that? Without with what we already know. Well, yeah, with what we know, I don't think we can, but we can do it. We can use this kind of the same concept.
Nice one. Give us your unpack it.
Yeah. So now what you guys can do, well, yeah. So we did this one, right, into a function. You can actually convert the other three into functions as well. This one actually what we did now, yeah, this is essentially what we did, right? Kind of. We're not accepting the input from a user. So in our case, we are accepting the input from there. So we don't need to do for. I think you can do, yeah, you can do this too. Do those two. Just do the actually just create because here we have a sum that adds everything like in that range, right? So what you need to do, what you should do, you should create a function, two functions. Def, and those are your other functions that you need to create. And then actually haven't. I'll just explain what that does. So you see this pass here, right? That I'm using this keyword pass that I'm using. It's actually when you don't have code for your body, you can just say pass so that Python doesn't complain. So
Explained it before.
I explained it, ne?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so pass actually just doesn't do nothing. It's just a placeholder for a body that is still to come, right? Because if you don't have pass in there, the program, it will fail and say there's no body inside the function. So you need a body inside your function. So here, so you need to create two functions, calculate odd and calculate even. And they take in, yeah, same thing, same so yeah, same signature as the one at the top, accepting X and Y or two numbers, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it must accept X and Y or A and B, and then calculate. This one will calculate the odd numbers in that range, and then this one will calculate the even numbers in that range, the sum of the even numbers in that range. So actually, let me call it some odd, some even. So that's what you need to do. We'll look at those. They should be fairly simple. I'm gonna push this up for you now. Insurance. Cool. This should be on your side now. Cool, right?
Yeah.
Safety. Cool.